Week 1 is officially here. I'm Connor from the Dolphins Dive, and I'm going to be breaking down the Miami Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, breaking down this entire game, offense versus defense, and what we're going to see. Miami Dolphins #1. Before I hop into today's video, head over to thedolphinsdive.com. I'm running a massive sale. Use the code ULTIMATEKICKOFF and get 20% off your entire order for shirts like this greatest show on surf. We have Tua, Tyreek, Waddle, everything you could want in Dolphins merch is on the site, so check it out. I'm going to hop right into today's video, starting with the Miami Dolphins offense versus the Jaguars defense. Now I'm going to run through some of these numbers, and now these numbers aren't fully relevant because they're based on last year. Both teams went through defensive coordinator changes, so just take these numbers with a grain of salt, but it goes to show where these teams were at last year. Dolphins offense was second in points per game. Jaguars were 17. In terms of the passing game, the Dolphins were first in passing yards per game. The Jaguars were 26th in passing yards allowed. Dolphins were 6th in rushing yards per game, and then the Jaguars were 9th in rushing yards allowed. So once again, based on the numbers, obviously the Dolphins offense was one of the best offenses in all of football and would have the advantage on the Jaguars defense. But as noted, they went out and made a coordinator change. No crazy personnel change in terms of who they added. They added some obviously role players, but no superstars added on the defensive side of the ball. Now some notes heading into this game, just in terms of injuries and everything. Aaron Brewer, our center who we signed in free agency, is active and will be playing. No serious injuries on the offensive side of the ball, which is great. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle both are not on the injury report. What I'm really interested to see is the usage of Devon Achane and Jonnu Smith. The Dolphins got resources this offseason and used it, instead of building the interior offensive line, used it on some role players like an Odell Beckham Jr. and a Jonnu Smith. And I think the reason being is because the Dolphins believe that the reason they didn't have success against some of those good teams is they took away Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, leaving opportunities for those other skill positions who didn't make plays. And I think they expect Jonnu Smith, and obviously Devon Achane was injured last year, but those guys are going to have to take advantage of the overplay of doubling a Tyreek or doubling a Jalen. So I'm excited to see the usage of Achane and Jonnu. I think they could have big impacts, and maybe this year Tyreek isn't consistently going for 200 yards, but the ball's getting spread around more, and that ultimately bodes well better for team football. And then obviously, as mentioned, the Jaguars have a new defensive coordinator, which does pose a challenge when you don't have film on how he uses the personnel he has in his scheme. On the bright side, Calais Campbell was in Ryan Nielsen, the new Jaguars defensive coordinator, scheme last year, so he has some insight on what they want to do. And Tua did mention in his presser he has talked to some guys on the team who have been in his scheme, so I expect that Tua had a direct conversation with Calais Campbell. It's a new team, he's going to utilize things differently, but he can get a better understanding of what this DC looks for in terms of game planning, the fronts he runs, and the tendencies that he may have. So a big advantage that Calais Campbell is not only on the defensive side, but also helping out the offense. Now, some players to watch for the Jaguars. They have a lot of quality players, especially along the defensive line, starting with Josh Hines-Allen, one of the best pass rushers in all football. Eric Armstead, who they signed from the 49ers, got a big contract. Trayvon Walker, the first overall pick, who being the first overall pick, some people want to label him a certain way, but he's put up some productive numbers. He's heading into year 3 and looking to make a big jump. Foye Oluokun, their inside backer, one of the best tacklers in all football, just a speedster in the middle. One of the better off-ball linebackers there are. Tyson Campbell, one of the most underrated corners in all football, just got a payday, well-deserved. He's very underrated. No one talks about him, but he's very good. Wherever he's asked to do man zone, he's one of the best corners in all football. And then a little underrated name for the Jaguars, Andre Cisco is one of their safeties, who's just a very good athlete and has made plays on the ball before. Now, keys for the offense to have success. Once again, when you don't have film on the other team, it's week 1, everyone's pulling out new tricks. The Dolphins debuted their cheat motion last year in week 1 and surprised the league. Maybe they have something else up their bag, but really just pick up from last year. Try and run the ball consistently and then get the ball out fast, get the ball to your playmakers in space. And when it comes to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Jonnu Smith, Devon Achane, when you get the ball in their hands, good things happen. And then obviously limit the turnovers. We're facing a new defense, so if there's some discomfort, just don't force things, don't force mistakes, win the turnover battle. So if it means throwing the ball away instead of forcing it into a window, I think that's what should be done for the Miami Dolphins. Now heading onto the defensive side of the ball, Dolphins defense versus the Jaguars offense. Going to run through these numbers again. Once again, Dolphins hired Anthony Weaver as our new defensive coordinator, so these numbers are going to be different. Maybe we're a better pass defense team, but worse in the run game. But based on the numbers, Dolphins were 22nd in points allowed. Jaguars were 14th in points per game. Jaguars were 9th in passing yards per game. Dolphins were 15th in passing yards allowed. Jaguars were 24th in rushing yards per game, and Dolphins were 7th in rushing yards allowed. Some notes, Jalen Ramsey hasn't practiced with a hamstring injury. Based on how Mike McDaniel handles injuries, I'm going to guess he's not going to play. Mike McDaniel has been very known to be extremely conservative with injuries, especially with a hamstring to a star player. I don't think he takes the risk of running him out there for week 1, but who knows? I would love to see Ramsey out there. He's having a great training camp prior to the injury, but that happened. Overall, defensive keys, obviously it's a new defense, so sometimes it takes time to gel. I think a big thing is just prevent coverage busts. There's going to be a lot of communication needed to prevent that because you're in a new scheme. Everyone's trying to learn it, and that can lead to mistakes. And hopefully it doesn't take till week 6, week 7 for this defense to click. Hopefully they can start off fast, but you just never know in this league. Obviously, cliche things, that's why I don't really do too many keys every week, is like get after the passer, get takeaways. That's what you want to see. We're going to be a sim blitz team, meaning the Dolphins are going to show that we're blitzing 7, and sometimes we'll send it, and sometimes we'll rush 4 and drop the other 3, and based on the alignment and how the pass protection is, we still may have a free runner. So this defense is revolutionary in the league, hence the reason Mike McDonald got the head coaching job in Seattle. He's one of the highest regarded defensive minds in football, and Anthony Weaver's coming directly from that scheme. We saw some of that in the preseason, and from what we've heard is he's going to run something similar. So a lot of sim pressures and trying to get after the quarterback while only sending 3 or 4. And hopefully that happens. Players to watch for the Jaguars offense, they have some talent. Trevor Lawrence, obviously first overall pick, has had ups and downs throughout his career. He still just got paid. He's one of the better quarterbacks in all football. There's a lot of good quarterback play, say what you want. He is prone to make mistakes here and there. So hopefully the Dolphins can force him into some bad throws and get some turnovers or some forced fumbles. He fumbles a lot as well. Travis Etienne, one of the most athletic players in the game, very explosive. He can take any ball to the house. So he's their big guy you have to contain, in my opinion. They have some other quality skill players, but none of them are top echelon athletes like Travis Etienne. The next guy is kind of a question mark. He's very athletic, but we've yet to see him in a game. That's the rookie Brian Thomas Jr. He's had a very good training camp. He's very highly regarded from Jaguars and their fans. But obviously you haven't yet to see it in game, but based off everything, he seems to be very explosive. He's a bigger body guy who can take the top off. He can catch the ball on people's heads. He's a very good player. Evan Ingram, one of the best receiving tight ends in all football, one of the fastest tight ends in all football as well. So that's going to be a potential mismatch. Although thankfully we do have athletic linebackers, but I still don't know if that's the matchup they want to have. Christian Kirk, who's probably their wide receiver 1, explosive guy. Once again, if we have a healthy corners, I'm not scared of them. I think they have a quality receiver group. I don't think they have anyone that instills fear. Pending Brian Thomas Jr. We've yet to see him in game. I don't know if he's a true alpha number 1. I think Christian Kirk's a solid wide receiver, and especially if we don't have Ramsey, he can post threats. I think Trevor Lawrence's number 1 target when possible. And then they signed Gabe Davis from the Bills, who's a very boomer bust guy. He's explosive, he's big, but he also disappears from time to time. So should be interesting to see how he does for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, time for my prediction. Before I give mine, comment yours down below. What do you think this score is going to be? Overall, my time previewing Dolphins games on this YouTube channel, I am 23-12. So pretty solid. Not the best record, but pretty solid. I think I have a solid track record. But my prediction is the Miami Dolphins win against the Jacksonville Jaguars at home 31-24. Like I said, comment yours down below. Check out the Dolphins Dive. Get 25% off using code Ultimate Kickoff. I'm also running a giveaway on my X account, giving away 2 free shirts. All you have to do is retweet. So check that out. I appreciate you guys for watching. So excited for football finally being here. And until next time, like and subscribe to help the channel grow, and fins up.